Our next story is from the United States. This year it's going to witness a rerun of 2020, a rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Yes, Trump's victory in the New Hampshire primary has dealt a big blow to his strongest challenger and strengthened his hold on his party's nomination. He now heads towards a likely November rematch with Biden. His critics, however, disagree. They point at how Nikki Haley is still in the race. She finished second in New Hampshire. She remains steadfast and told her supporters at a primary night party in Concord that the race is far from over. She congratulated Trump, but vowed to fight and challenge him to debate her. But Biden's re-election team is only looking at Trump's New Hampshire win. They're taking it as a starting gun for what will now be the longest and most grueling election campaign in modern American political history. They believe Trump poses a far greater threat to Biden than Nikki Haley, who now plans to take her bid back home to South Carolina. But Biden's team believes that this is already a lost cause. As I speak, they've already assumed Trump to be Biden's primary challenger. And if that happens, the big question is, who will be Trump's vice president nominee? Well, a lot of his allies and former rivals within the Republican Party have started making appearances on the campaign trail. They're rallying support for Trump and pledging their loyalty to him. But Trump himself has kept fairly quiet about his preferred candidate. He says he's in no rush to select a vice president. As Trump keeps people in the dark, analysts have come up with some names who may be on the shortlist. On top of the list of vice president hopefuls is New York Representative Elise Stefanik, a 39-year-old who was once seen as a moderate, Trump-hesitant Republican. She has now drifted closer to the Trump faction of the party. So much so that she has grown into one of Trump's most loyal defenders. In fact, she's even open to serve as vice president. Last weekend, she told reporters that she would be honored to serve in the Trump administration in any capacity. Next on the list is Tim Scott, an erstwhile competitor for the Republican nomination. He's a senator and the most prominent black Republican in the U.S. However, his campaign failed to gain traction with voters due to his lackluster debate performance. So the 58-year-old has seemingly thrown his hat in for the vice president's post by giving his endorsement to Trump. And the third name on the list is J.D. Vance, a 39-year-old junior senator from Ohio. He was in New Hampshire this weekend rallying support on behalf of Trump. Interestingly, he once identified himself as a never-Trumper, but has now refashioned himself as a loyal disciple. These were just a few big names. Besides them, there are other names floating around like Carrie Lake, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Vivek Ramaswamy. Who among them will get a chance to be US Vice President if Trump wins? We'll be watching closely. There's hope for all Alzheimer's patients. A new study has revealed a testing method which can detect the disease in a decade in advance. And don't worry, it's not as invasive like spinal tap. The study claims that the disease can be detected using a simple blood test. Yes, you heard it right. It doesn't even need a special kit. The kit was already available for clinical use, so it's going to be light on your pockets. Our next report has all the details.
What if Alzheimer's disease could be caught well in advance? What if a simple blood test could detect it? Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Well, it could soon be the reality. Breakthrough research has found that a blood test can flag Alzheimer's symptoms. Swedish scientists did it using a simple testing kit that is already commercially available. Here's how it works. The scientists used an assay kit created by the company ALZ-PATH. It can detect tau proteins in the blood, that too with an accuracy of 97%. Now these proteins are associated with the Alzheimer's disease. They start building up on the brain, but the symptoms don't show for the next 10 to 15 years. And what are these symptoms? In the early stages, AD could look like this: forgetting recent conversations or events, misplacing things, facing trouble thinking of the right word, asking questions repetitively, poor judgment or finding it harder to make decisions, becoming less flexible and more hesitant to try new things. This is how it all starts off. Scary, isn't it? A person may be developing the Alzheimer's in their body, but they wouldn't even know about it, because extreme symptoms only occur later in life. The patient may face difficulty eating and swallowing, struggle changing position or moving around, unintentional passing of urine or stools, gradual loss of speech, memory issues. While hallucinations and delusions may come and go over the years, they can worsen as the disease progresses. The sad part is, many patients don't find out about the condition until it's too late. And that is what scientists are trying to change. They say the test can be used by people of any age who fear they may have Alzheimer's. Experts are hailing the result of this particular test as exciting, especially when compared to other studies examining blood tests, all thanks to its high accuracy levels, the large number of participants in the study, and the fact that it used a testing kit that is already available on the market instead of a new custom-made one. For the first time ever, a blood test has come as close to detecting tau proteins as other invasive procedures such as a spinal tap. ALZ-PATH says that the latest breakthrough will be available for clinical use by the end of this month. It will also be commercially available soon. Does it mean we will be able to catch Alzheimer's sooner than ever? Seems very likely. At least that's the hope.
China's real estate market, it's in a free fall. The bubble popped about 2 years ago. It has all been downhill ever since. But it seems the worst is yet to come, and it's making real estate agents desperate to make sales. How desperate are we talking? Enough to run bizarre advertisements like this one. Let me read it out for you. Buy a house, get a wife for free. I'm not making this up. The slogan was featured in an ad run by a property company in Tianjin. It joked about handing out wives as freebies. The original saying goes, buy a house and give it to your wife, but it was structured in a manner that it typically used to offer freebies to home buyers. The new slogan was supposed to be a clever play on words, but it turned out to be a failure. And thank goodness for that. The company expected to steer sales through this very ad, but what it actually attracted was a fine of more than $4,000. You see, this is how desperate the situation has become. Marketeers are risking it all to get in a few sales. A residential compound in China's Zhejiang province promised a 10-gram gold bar to its buyers. Property agents have been pulling such gimmicks for years now. Some even encourage home buyers to make their down payments with wheat and garlic. Others offer to accept watermelons at a rate of 20 yuan per kilogram. That is $2.8. The upper limit for this was 5,000 kilograms of watermelon valued at 100,000 yuan or over $14,000. Once again, I'm not joking. All this tells you how bad the situation is currently in China. That China is not hesitating to become a laughing stock, and it's only about to get worse. That's at least what the market trends say. Consider it yourself. Last year, sales of newly built homes in China fell by 6%. This is a first since 2016, meaning the lowest in the last 8 years. Even China's 4 wealthiest cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou and Shenzhen, suffered a big blow. In December, the prices for used homes in these cities declined by 11% to 14% when compared to the year before. Developers are starting fewer projects. Homeowners are rushing to pay back their mortgages. They are also borrowing less. Once thriving property companies are scrambling for foreign investments. Multi-billion-dollar companies have been pushed to the point of collapse. Millions of unfinished homes were sold but never delivered. More than 50 developers, most of them privately owned, have defaulted on their debt. Put simply, in China, housing is no longer a safe investment. Take a look. The downfall began when real estate developer Evergrande defaulted. This set off a chain reaction of defaults and business losses. With that began a vicious cycle. The Chinese economy slumped. People started losing their jobs. As of last month, stock investments were down 30%. Salary package were also down 30%. The real estate collapse has wiped away household wealth. A decade ago, China's economy grew by the double digits, but those days are long gone. In the last quarter, the growth stopped at 5.2%. It began as a real estate crisis. But it soon turned into international trade tensions, high youth unemployment, and an overall downfall of the economy. China has not one, but several problems. Notorious marketeers and bizarre advertisements may not even make it to this list.